Hey everybody, it's Mike Copera with PodcastCondition.com, bringing the 96th episode of What You Drinking, and we're here with Brandon, Chris, and Dan. What's going on, guys?
Not a whole lot. How's it going?
Good, man. I finally got to see. I finally watched an episode for the first time. I had to read it. So thanks for filling in as the host last week, Dan. I appreciate it, and it was a good conversation between you guys. It was Mike and AJ, right?
Yeah, it was. No, it was Mike and Skylar.
Or no, I'm sorry, Skylar. Sorry about that. It's been a week since I watched it. So, but you guys kind of decided on Maibocks, but it sounds like no box. Your box, my box. Nobody's got a box.
Mail order box.
Yeah, that's about it. No, it's. I had the same problem back in April too.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Funny that we can't find one in May because it's basically the style for this time of the month or this time of the year. But oh well. So what did you guys end up bringing? Dan, you sound like you're ready to switch up already because you didn't like what you opened up before we were about to start the show.
Well, and that's the problem. I think I just got a really old bottle. I got something called Death of a Contract Brewing, or nice. Brewer rather.
Hebrew, yep.
Yeah, and it sounded like a good beer, but I opened it up and I was sniffing at it, and I was like, "That smells oxidized." And then
it's from last year. It's from 2014.
Well, and this is saying Reborn New York 2013. So yeah, this has got to be an old bottle. It has not aged well. Let's put it that way. So I'm actually going to dump this. What's that?
It's a darker beer, though, isn't it? Is it what a style? I forget what that is. I've had it, but I didn't age it. I just drank that one.
Well, it's a black IPA.
Oh,
so the hops have faded significantly, and then what's underneath that is not. I mean, it's dark, but it's 7% ABV. And it's really not built to stand up the time. So I'm gonna dump it. It's not tasting good.
Wow.
I know. That's like maybe the second beer I've ever dumped, and the first one was the Maple Bacon beer by Rogue. Oh, yeah. So that's telling you something right there.
That one comes with instructions in the back. If you don't like this, dump it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It needs them. Yeah, actually, it doesn't. All right. I'll be back in a second.
What do you got, Brandon?
I cracked open a beer from a local brewery here, Bayou Teche Brewing. This one's called Cop Cop. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's a barrel-aged beer. They describe it on the Facebook page as a French ale aged in oak barrels with Bernard's honey and elderflowers. So it looks pretty good, and the aroma smells pretty good, too.
Nice.
French.
Yeah, I saw you were just at Bayou Teche not too long ago, celebrating last week, right?
Yeah, I was
celebrating.
Yep.
Nice. Did they have anything else special released or anything like that?
They had their fifth anniversary ale, which is a persimmon sour, which is really just Berliner Weiss with persimmon. That was pretty good. They had that on draft over there, actually. And, of course, they have some bottles of Bière Noir and some others. They're not doing the Miel Sauvage again until the summer, so sorry to disappoint you there.
Nice. What about you, Chris? What do you got over there?
Well, I figured since we're all going out of style, I would go with I would drink this beer first out of the wrong style glass in an Abita glass. Cheers to Brandon. And I am drinking Star Chicken Shotgun by Greenbush.
Oh, nice. They're bottling that now, huh?
Yeah. So it was going quick. I thought I was going to really like this. I didn't know if I had it before, and I've had it before, and it's okay. It's not... I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite Greenbush beers. It's decent. It's just not... For some reason, I thought it was like... the way the guy sold it to me at the beer store, I didn't have time to look at my Untapped, and I was like, oh, I think that was really epic. And then I got it, and I looked at my Untapped, and I was like, it's okay. And then I drank it, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's all right.
Yeah, it's solid pale ale though. I like it. Yep. It almost always seems to be on tap whenever I land at Greenbush for some reason. Maybe I'm always there at the same time of the year or something, but it's the first time I've ever seen it bottled. Can I see the label again?
Yeah, it's I don't know what's going on. It's like a Elvis chicken in a lab coat type thing going on. You can see
awesome.
that. Yeah.
That's great.
And by the way, before I forget, you and Dan need to keep your eye out for it because I've never heard you guys mention that you've had it, and I love this beer. My buddy was just leaving Chicago, coming back to Battle Creek, and he called me and said, "Hey, I'm at the beer store. What should I get? I'm looking at a couple things. Oso Brewing Company's the one I did the review on that has the actual
With the hop cone in it?
Yeah, that just came out. So keep an eye out for it.
Lupus Humulus or Maximus or something like that.
Yeah, it's similar to that. Yeah, it's similar to the. I was thinking of this. It's got similar name to the Shorts beer, but yeah, and it's a good double IPA. I think it's really solid. So
it's very good, and it's funny if you're in Wisconsin and you're at any bar, that brewery is like $4 a pint for any of their beers. But what's the IPA though? It's the standard IPA of theirs.
I don't know. The only one I've ever had is that one with the hop cone, and I'm always blown away by it. And I think because the hop cone is a little bit of marketing with me too, and it's definitely got me hooked in. It's got the fish hook in me, but it's a good double IPA, I think. So it's not like it's crappy. So
no, I've had that one before. Oso does not make bad beers, really. I haven't had a bad one from them yet, anyway.
No, their red ale is really good.
Yeah, so is their Night Train porter is absolutely fantastic.
Night Train. I immediately.
I know. Riding the Night Train, baby.
Night Train. Not good. Right there. No, I have not posted a video of me. I have not joined a hangout drinking Night Train, so don't ask.
that might be a train wreck.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do we switch to, Dan?
Oh. This is something that I needed to drink before it began to go south on me, but it's still good. This is Bois. This is it's a saison that's hopped with Nelson Sauvin, and it's really good. It's a local brewery called Zumbier, and they're in Waukegan. It's literally just down the road from us. We actually had a homebrew meeting there about 2 months ago, and that's where I got the bottle. But it's tasty, good stuff.
Yeah, didn't you assist brew there one day, like half a year ago or something like that?
Yeah, it was because they're coming up on their 1 year anniversary this summer. Then it was in fall of last year. I went over there and I basically stirred the mash and dumped the grains out in the field and crap like that and cleaned up. So it was just kind of manual labor, but it was also kind of cool to see the process. And actually, it was good too because that's really what got me started brewing all grain. Because once you see someone actually do it, it's sort of like, that's not that hard. And so I kind of was like, all right, I'm doing it. So.
Nice. Well, I brought a couple of beers back from South Carolina where I was gone last week. So again, thanks for filling in, Dan. This is a beer that you can get here in Chicago occasionally, but it's usually gone pretty quickly. So it flows like water out there, apparently. So I got my hand on the grapefruit sculpin, and it's it lives up to the hype. It's really good. The grapefruit is just really, really strong. If you don't like grapefruit, you definitely wouldn't want this beer because it's pretty prominent in the flavor. But they had that, and they had the habanero, which I'm not going to waste my time on since we've already discussed it. I'm not a fan of the pepper beers, but this one I brought a 6-pack home and split it with my brother-in-law and got that, and the Terrapin Liquid Bliss, I think it's called, which is like a peanut butter chocolate stout or porter. I can't remember which one. I've got one of those left in the fridge too, and that beer's just that blew my mind. I probably drank like 3 of those while I was out there.
Nice.
Beer's also awesome on draft.
I'll bet. Do you have that pretty easily where you're at there, Brandon?
Well, I remember stopped in Baton Rouge one time, and they had it on draft. Yeah, I was like, okay, I had one. So I'd like another, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean the the closest beer I've had to that much peanut butter flavor is the Uber Goober from Shorts, which I'm a big fan of that beer too. But so this was the closest thing I've had to that, so it was really good.
What was the first beer you? Mike? What was the first beer you were talking about that was the peanut butter? I didn't catch it. That you were.
The Liquid Bliss from Terrapin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, the most peanut butter I've had, I don't know if I've had that many peanut butter. I've used Uber Goober, and their PB&J are basically the same. It's Uber Goober with.
It's close, yeah.
Is Sweet Baby Jesus by DeClaw? Is that who it is? Sweet Baby Jesus, and that thing is like peanut butter. Oh my God, it's peanut butter like crazy.
That can be either really good or really bad, depending.
Well, the porter.
It's hard to do that beer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it's a porter, so it holds it well, and it is DuClaw. Yeah. Go ahead.
Nice. Yeah, I remember. I think it was a Shorts podcast when they were talking about how it's kind of hard to do a peanut butter beer because if you're using real peanuts or any kind of nut, they're oily and they don't really work well when you're trying to make a beer. So they've got like I think it's a powdered replacement or whatever you want to call it. That's a substitute that's called PB2. That it's used mostly for people who are allergic to nuts and they have allergies, and it gives them at least an option. So, but yeah, I guess that's what brewers use when they're trying to do a beer that's got peanut butter in it. So, I believe that's what the Uber brewers got.
The oil actually just tears apart the head retention, apparently. Which to me, I'm like, I don't care. If it tastes good, it tastes good. But I could see like an oil film on the top of your beer that would probably not look very appealing or maybe taste very appealing.
Right. No, I think it can have trouble staying in the beer itself too, as far as the flavor goes. Because I know that coconut is hard to work with too, for the same reason, because it's a very oily, fleshy fruit, and so you lose the flavor very often. Or it can, you can get it in there if it's fresh, but the longer it sits there, the quicker it kind of goes away. So.
One of the Kona or somebody out in Hawaii, I saw a thing. They roast theirs in like this. It's almost like, to me, it looked like a bingo wheel, like the big mesh thing where they rotate it through. They had the coconut in there, and they were just roasting it over a fire, and they use it roasted, which kind of is interesting. I don't know if it burns off the oil at all, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Now I saw that that was on BrewDogs, I think.
Was that what it was? One of the first episodes?
I think so. I think it was first season, and the first season or somewhere in second season. But yeah, I think it was first. That reminds me actually because they just did Grand Rapids, and I saw the #1 brewery, and I was like, oh, Chris isn't gonna like that.
Mike getting a live commentary while he was watching. He's like, if Bell's is #1, I'm gonna shit. I'm like, oh.
Well, Bell's it's inevitable, so I'm not gonna rip on that. I was more pissed that Arbor Brewing Company was #5. I mean, I don't know what they base it off of, because Arbor really doesn't have. I can't name a beer that just blows me away by Arbor. And if they went for like longevity in terms of, okay, well, we can't look at any breweries that have been opened in the last 5 years. We got to look at people that have really gotten their roots in Michigan. Coonan, New Holland, those are the first two. Arcadia would be arguable at times, but at least Coonan.
Did they not even bring up New Holland?
No.
I didn't even think of that. That's crazy.
No. Yeah, Brewery Vivant is another one that could have gotten some love.
That's where the longevity comes into play. Greenbush could have too, if you want to go that route. I mean, there's, it was, what was it? Shorts, Jolly Pumpkin, Arbor, Bell's, and I'm missing one. Dark Horse.
Yeah.
All those I think were legit. Arbor, I was like, really? I was like, I was surprised Dark Horse was on there, because Dark Horse is really, I mean, if you guys have been there, that place is like. We are good with being country boys brewing beer, and they make great beer, but they really don't care. I mean, they really haven't done any. I was just there last weekend, and they don't have any, thoughts about expanding or anything like that. It's just kind of amazing how they're just like, screw it, we're just doing what we're doing and shooting deer. And
well, I mean, if you're basing it on their last TV show, it's like they want to do everything. They want to get into the the fishing hut, the ice fishing house.
That was all. Yeah, I think it was
business.
all
I know.
TV. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Was that whole show? That was just not a good show, to be honest with you. I don't think I even finished like the last 3 or 4 episodes.
I
To be
don't
honest.
think I did either.
Yeah.
No, and
I love that brewery. They're one of my favorites from Michigan too.
Yeah, and if you know some of those guys, I mean, it is very common for you to be in there on any day of the week, any time of the day, and boom, you watch one of them walk through, get a beer, and like go back out to the brewery. I just saw the Caleb, I think is his name, is the guy that did all the he fixed the bottling line and stuff in those episodes.
Yeah.
He walked up to the bar, I saw him slam a beer back and kind of look around, and then boom, he was gone. He was walking out. I've hung out with Brian Wiggs, their brewer. He's been in there trashed before late at night.
Well, he introed your show on a couple of your reviews. I've seen.
Yeah. So I mean, they're just a backwoods place, but the fact that they got their name on there, that was cool. But Darber, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And the thing is, they didn't even stick to Grand Rapids, which I know that wasn't what the point of it was. But there's just so many in Grand Rapids that you could have done now. Like Mitten's pretty solid at this point. They're not really that big of a name at this point, but I'm always going there if I go to Grand Rapids from this point on because they're solid.
And Perrin.
Yeah.
Perrin. Yeah. And that was good. They did. I have to go back and look. They did the beer bars. Ashley's I've been to. Obviously, Hopcat I've been to.
Yep.
There was 1 or 2 right at the beginning I'd never heard of in Grand Rapids, and I'm like, maybe I need to go check these 2 out. But that was cool that they stayed there. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 of them that they had.
The one with the market with the kind of the ticker where the prices will fall and stuff like that. I can't remember.
That's Kalamazoo. Okay, I forgot they had that one. That's Kalamazoo, and that's a place I've been to a bunch of times. Yeah, and it's okay. They what I don't like is the ticker doesn't even. It's called the Beer Exchange. It's centered around a stock exchange for beer. Okay, great concept. In fact, I talked to the owner when they had a soft opening. I talked to the owner, and they were like, "We're going to open possibly another one in Grand Rapids." And if something happens in Grand Rapids, that stock exchange affects the stock exchange in Kalamazoo and vice versa. So it's kind of
That's cool.
They haven't done it.
Cool.
They haven't done it yet. They haven't done that part yet. But what pisses me off is I get out of work 4 or 5 o'clock, right? I walk in the door. Stock market doesn't even come on until 6, so you got to sit and wait. So the novelty's not even on. They've got TVs, and then it's not on at 6 necessarily on the money. It's on. It's like 6:20. It hasn't even come on yet. I mean, they're geared towards the almost like the club, 7, 8 o'clock people that are just going there to get trash. I told people, I'm like, why don't you have it on all day? And they're like, well, there's not people here to bring the stock market down. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just go in and you're able to see the prices and stuff and ask questions. If people are coming in from traveling from Kalamazoo or from Detroit to Chicago or vice versa, and they swing in there and it's not on, they just kind of leave and don't get the experience. I think it's so stupid, but when it's on, it is cool. It is cool. I haven't seen the big crashes. I've seen a couple little crashes that they've had where the price crashes on a beer, and you're like, yeah, and you jump on it. But they've had some pretty good stuff.
How far will the price go down?
It only goes down like a couple bucks. It won't go down to like 50 cents for a KBS or something like that. They're not crazy. But they've had some good beers. They had
$2 or $3 beers, pretty sweet.
Yeah. They'll go to pretty cheap, and it only crashes for like a minute or 2, and you gotta like jump on it, and the waitresses are probably busting their butt. But I went there once for they've had some good tappings there. I don't keep track of what they have, like some of the other guys here locally do. But they had the Stone Vertical and this vertical. They had the last vertical that came out. They had like almost all of them back, and they had a vertical, and you could just get a flight of them and just sit there and drink them all. Cool, which is weird in Kalamazoo to get all those beers. They didn't. I don't think they quite had all of them, but they had a good chunk from like the last one all the way back to like 2008 or something like that, or 9 or something like that.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah. The other place that they mentioned, I think it's. Have you guys ever been to Pyramid Scheme in Grand Rapids?
Mm-mm. No, that's I think one of the ones that
I don't think they mentioned it on that episode of Brewdogs, but I think they are. Yeah, so Shorts had them on their podcast, but I think they I think they're slightly owned with one of the ones that was mentioned. I think it's the same ownership as one of the ones that was mentioned in their top 5 list. The one that had the Indian god at the door or something that they mentioned.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
I think the name sounded really familiar, and I think that might be the one that was the same owner. But
Okay.
that place sounds kind of cool too. The pyramid scheme. So
Pyramid Scheme's named for their bands and beer, and they were just on one of the podcasts at Shorts. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, not a bad episode of Brewdogs. Again, that's probably the best beer show out there. So, take what you can. You're always going to not be happy with. We weren't exactly excited about the Chicago list that they gave. So, but it's not It's not horrible. They mentioned some decent places, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
So what else is new? Anyways, you know what I wanted to mention? When I was up in South Carolina, we were at Hilton Head, and so when we landed, my wife she had kind of done a little research before we landed, and she said, there's a beer, bacon, and music festival that we should check out the day that we land. So so we went to that. It was like $6 to get in, and so I'm in there with my half-acre shirt and my Revolution hat, and we walk up to one of the tents for the Hilton Head Brewing Company, and the guy just yells across. He's like, "Hey, tell me about that shirt." And so he comes up to me, and he I guess he grew up in Beverly, in the southwest side of Chicago, and then he said he's got a sister there. So when they were in town, I guess they deal with the same chemical guy, I guess, for glycol, as Half-Acre does. So they were like, "Oh man, that Navaja, that's the one of the best beers ever," and this and that. And I was like, "Yeah, I know. We had some of that at the wedding when we got married at Revolution. We had a fridge full of Navaja from Half-Acre, and my guests cleared them out of it. Like they killed it all." And he was like, "Oh man, I want that beer so bad." So we talked to him for a while, and they had a solid IPA and a pretty good session IPA as well. And I also had one of their stouts. But they had 2 locations. He was a really nice guy, so I would definitely reach out to him, seeing if we could ever get him on the show or anything like that. But he seemed like a really cool dude, and he's always back here in Chicago every once in a while since his sister still lives here. So, but it's weird, man. Hilton Head's got this section of bars that are all kind of, if you can think of like a commercial business section or whatever you want to call it. It's just they call it the Bermuda Triangle, and
nice.
It was so weird though. Like all these bars were connected, and if you walked out of one, you can literally just take 5 steps and you're in the next bar. None of them were full. Like there was maybe like three people in each place when we went there. It was crazy, just dead everywhere. But a pretty good beer selection. There was a place that Kevin, who jumps on here, he might still be joining later on, but there's a place there called The Lodge, and they had a pretty solid tap list. I forget what the growler I took back to our room was, but it was pretty good. They just they don't have much of a brewery scene out there. There's the one place, and that was about it. Savannah.
This is in Hilton Head.
Yeah.
And that's.
Have you been?
Well, is that town may not, but is that the same state? Is it North Carolina that is the other beer city, Asheville?
Oh, that's North Carolina.
We were in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So we were maybe like 45 minutes from Savannah, which when we were at the airport, it looked like Savannah had a brewery or 2 just located in the airport itself. So I didn't know much else about the brewery scene anywhere else, but Hilton Head, it was not very highly popular of craft beers. But it's crazy that you can go to a Kroger or Whole Foods and because that was what the guy said. He goes, I said, this is a pretty good session IPA. He's like, yeah, I wanted to make one because there's not a lot of good ones out there. And he goes, and the first thing I said was, you know what I've been drinking is Pinner. He's like, damn, I love that beer. He's like, I fucking love it. It's great. And he's going on and on about it. And I honestly do love that beer. It's really good. I've had it in the fridge.
This is the first time I've seen it this year.
Yeah, they just started doing it like a month or two ago because I remember their YouTube channel was promoting it, and I was waiting. I was going to Benny's like every week, like, are you getting this yet? Are you getting it? And they're like, yeah, it's supposed to be coming. So I got it as soon as I saw it, and I thought it was pretty solid. But he was like, yeah, I drink the shit out of that. And we were talking about any other IPAs out here, and Sculpin came up, and he's like, oh yeah, you can get the grapefruit Sculpin like nothing out here. He's like, you can go to Whole Foods or Kroger's over here, and yeah, the Kroger's had an awesome selection. It was pretty easy to get some good beers. You just didn't have any breweries out there. That was the only thing. So I don't know, but Dan, it was a good show last week. So thanks for doing that. Was there any updates or any brewery news that we didn't cover last week, or anything happened since then? I can't think of anything. I know it's Chicago Craft Beer Week is kicking tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
But it's actually officially American Craft Beer Week as of yesterday. So I don't know if anything's been going on in your guys' neck of the woods. Brandon, have you been anything, or is there anything going on by you guys for that?
Well, they had something going on. I remember I didn't get a chance to go out there, but it was one of the bars in Baton Rouge just had some different different variations of different editions of Vine Reserve. I think one of them it was one of those tap takeovers that they had last year for a craft beer week with the Bishop's Barrel series. Unfortunately, I was not able to go and get any, so I'm kind of disappointed about that. But yeah, there are things going on. Baton Rouge, definitely, like I said, New Orleans, probably. I don't know what's really going on there. I might drop by Parish like I said, I might drive up Parish Brewing on Friday and see what's going on over there. I don't know if they're doing anything or whatever. I haven't seen anything on their Facebook. They might be. I'll check them, but I haven't really kept up with them. I've been pretty busy.
Yeah. So it sounds like you. So what's going on with you? Are you still? Where are you living now? I can't keep track of where you're at.
I'm in Louisiana again, and not in Baton Rouge anymore. I'm in the southwest part of the state now. I'm closer to Lafayette, and so the breweries would be Parish Brewing and Bayou Teche. And I got to say, Bayou Teche, they do have a good barrel age program going over there. Of course, this beer is pretty solid. Kind of wish I could share it with you, man, but. They also, like I said, they had the Miel Sauvage, and that's one of their barrel-aged beers. Of course, got another one sitting. I haven't cracked it open yet. I'll know when I will. But Parish, they have a really good tap room. Of course, about Ghost in the Machine. Their double IPAs, probably they're really one of the most sought-after beers in the local area. Just it sells out like crazy in the bottles. But the brewery just seems to keep it on draft for a while because people just can't seem to figure out, hey, wait, go to the brewery, drink the beer. But, it's like I said, I moved out here again not too long ago, and it's good to be back. It really is.
That's cool, man. Nice. So, are you doing a lot of those? What are you calling it? Breakdowns, or what are the beer reviews that you've been doing? I usually I'm at work when you did the last one that I saw pop up. But what are your what's your schedule on that? Are you doing that on the regular? I forget the last one you did. We don't talk about that.
I did Murphy's Irish Red. That's kind of an irregular thing. I don't know if I'm doing the next one. I generally do this with Ronald Terridge, little plug for his channel. He does those examinations. I missed one tonight because he put it at 7:30. I was not going to join while Arrow was on. But they were doing Beck Sapphire, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. I definitely will give Beck Sapphire props. So I had it before. But Beck's is also a pretty good beer as well, so, I mean, if you just have a higher gravity version of Beck's with different hops, it's probably pretty good. But, yeah, I do those with him. Next week they're doing a show. It's the topic is, when did you start drinking beer? So I'm going to try to jump in that for a little while before I come in on this show. So But yeah, I'd still like to do an examination for a different beer, like Arrogant Bastard or something like that, just to break down that beer, because that really is one of the classic craft beers out there, as far as I'm concerned. It's almost like, what, 20 years old now? It's soon to be turning
Oh
20.
yeah.
So it'd be
Now
a
you're
good
going to
idea.
talk about how long have you been legally drinking beer, or
Well,
If
you
you're gonna,
know,
if you're gonna go that route, maybe you should do Ruination and then do Ruination 2.0 that they just came out with and compare the
Yeah.
two.
that'd be
Yeah.
I think
interesting.
that's one of their original beers from like way back.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it definitely is. Definitely would be, but I'd like to do another examination of something like that. Just something like the classic craft beers, from like Arrogant Bastard or I don't know, just whenever I have the time, whenever I can schedule it.
If you can still, I do Sublimely Self-Righteous because I think that one's on the way out, and that is a really good. That's like one of the finest black IPAs of that initial wave of black IPAs that came out. It's tasty stuff.
so what's going on with Stone? They're revamping a lot of their stuff lately, and I mean, are they what are they doing? Just shaking things up, or are they trying to, just reinvent some of these the old, flagships that they've got? They aren't. Didn't they just redo like the old the IPA? I forget. There's like at least more than one, right? Am I?
Oh yeah.
Am I
Ruination 2.0, and then they did they barrel aged Arrogant Bastard.
Yeah.
That was
and
the
they're
other.
putting that in 6-packs, right?
2.0, I think they are. I don't know about the Arrogant Bastard, but those are the two big releases I've read about lately. I'm wondering if they're getting to that point where they're able to do that much, because they haven't opened the brewery out on the East Coast yet, have they?
No, I don't think they have.
And they,
But I think more of it has to do with the ADHD and the beer buying. If you look at a lot of the flagship beers at a lot of places, there's that sort of shelf turd culture that's out there. It's like, oh, it's not a whale, I'm not drinking it. Bleh. And I think that when you're talking about Stone, they've been here for 20 years. They're one of the leaders of the pack, and so you get to that point where it's like, well, our beer has become not boring because it tastes bad, but boring because people can't focus for more than 2 seconds
that's a
on
good
any
point.
one beer. And so I think that what's their amber ale? I think that's another one that's kind of gone by the wayside.
God, I don't know if I can tell you
Yeah.
what that is.
Levitation, yeah.
All right.
And thank you, Brendan. And there are a couple of them more like that because they just I just pulled the article up a while ago. I think I closed it out, or else I'd look at it. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, that's wasted. How craft beer left Jackass behind.
No, this is a good point you're bringing up. I mean, this is it just is the first thing
I'll throw this out there. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I was at Stone a year and a half ago. It was more than a year because it was before I was married. So it was like the previous October. They were expanding the shit out of that place. They were giving a tour. We were on a tour, and it was they had a whole section that wasn't even it was like almost twice the size of what we were at. So it's not like they are running out of space to brew these beers. I mean, I was thinking that they would just be brewing more of the ones that they've got. So I was a little surprised to see that they're switching these up and just making a new recipe for the same beers basically. So I don't know why they're just not creating complete new beers, calling it something else, and keeping with the flagships. Because they've got any brewery that expands and they're all nationwide, like somebody like Stone, you still have that local following that people are going to your brew pub or your beer garden, which theirs is something like I've never been to before in my entire life. They still got to have like a local following where there's people constantly going for those beers. So I was just confused by the switch up, and I don't, and I follow them on their YouTube page, and they didn't really step into why they're doing it. They're just saying this is what we're doing, and maybe they're just bored. Maybe they've been doing it. They've been around longer than most breweries, and maybe they're just bored doing the same beers.
And Dan brings up a good point. So I'm thinking, okay, you're brewing all these beers, they're not moving as quick as you want to nationwide.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
let's
Go ahead.
let's mass produce a different beer and replace X beer from the nationwide stuff, but maybe do something small batch or smaller batch in-house or in that area of San Diego or California. So you're still going to be sitting in Chicago maybe, and tell me if I'm wrong, if I misunderstood you, Mike, but you're like drawn, okay, Stone's doing this beer and they're doing this beer and they're this beer, and I'm like really focused on these. I really enjoy them. I'm going to be out in California next month. I'm going to swing by them, check them out. You get there, and yeah, none of those beers you've had in Chicago are there, but they have a couple of the Keystone beers, Arrogant Bastard or something else, enjoy by, and then they've got some other beers that they've been playing with, that have been experimenting with, that you're still like, damn, these are still good. So you would still get drawn in because of what you've had nationwide, but the beers are very dynamic to keep you, like Dan was saying, just like in YouTube land with me, I've had to switch my beer reviews over to 120 seconds, trying to think, man, I got to keep that person involved that's like not wanting to sit through a 6-minute beer review. Same thing. Yeah. I don't want to keep drinking Arrogant Bastard. I'm pretty soon I'm going to get bored. I'm going to move on to something else. And that's a lot of breweries here in Michigan do that. I mean, Arbor Brewing Company, we talked about them before. I think they do the same stuff year after year, and they don't do anything different. Dark Horse has switched it up. They did those hopped beers that were all different hop strains in the same batch. They did
the Crooked Tree series.
Yeah. So just doing something like that. I mean, and you can do something like that. That's so simple. Here's the recipe. Don't do these hops. Do this different strain of hops totally, and it doesn't F up your whole system at all. I think that's something that's really key. That you got to be creative like that, because if you just if it's just manufacturing type work, boom, 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 put out the bottles of beer, you're not going to get people following you. You're going to get maybe some local following. They're probably the people just coming out of the gateway craft beer scene, and they're kind of getting into beers, or they're the place they can stumble home from.
Yeah.
Beyond that, what are you drawing in? You're not drawing in some dude looking for whales or it doesn't even have to be whales. I mean, it could just be a good damn beer, I'll say this: it could be a good damn beer like Oberon or Two Hearted. That's not necessarily a whale.
That just come out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a nice guy, but yeah, I mean, it could be something like that where somebody's, it's not a whale, but I gotta try this right from the mothership, and they're driving through and they stop and they've got to have it once. I've got to see Mount Rushmore once and check it out.
No,
yeah.
I totally agree with you, and Dan, your point is completely valid and it's correct. I mean, just as an example, Half Acre, one of my favorite beers of theirs is the Daisy Cutter. They've put out a double Daisy Cutter, and that sells out like crazy. This Friday they're putting out the Galactic Double Daisy Cutter, which is the double Daisy Cutter with Galaxy hops. Hopefully I will be getting some of that if I'm in town next week, which I'm supposed to be.
I was going to say, we might get that tomorrow at the festival, because that usually comes.
That's very true. That's a very good chance that might happen. So, but you're right. They do have to switch it up and tweak it a little bit. And I completely believe that that's what you have to do to keep people interested in you. But also, for those that are just getting into craft beer, you might hear about these old beers that Stone have been doing forever, and you're like, oh, I want to have that, and then we don't do that one anymore.
And that's where you bring it back, and then it has more bang all of a sudden. Like Founders does that with some of their what did they do? What they bring out? Was it Blushing Monk or one of those two they brought out this year? Where it was an old beer.
Blushing Monk was a
They haven't done Better Half since they released it, and that's the barrel-aged Old Curmudgeon and bourbon barrel-aged. That they'll bring out, I guarantee that'll come out one of these years. CBS, I after watching the Brewdogs, I want to say the only reason they brought CBS out this year is because they knew they had scheduled Brewdogs and said, F it, we got to brew this Brewdogs is coming. Let's give them a punch in the jaw because they did not brew a lot of it. They just brewed enough to kind of wet people's whistles, and then they, to give them a bottle. But that's what you do. You pull back. You bring back the antiques once in a while to kind of. Because if you had that antique, let's say CBS was out every year, it's kind of like KBS, I guess, and it got so mass marketed, yeah, everybody'd be buying it. I guess that's a bad example, but eventually people get numb to it.
Yeah.
Or if you only bring it out, what's that? Yeah, it's a crapshoot.
It's a crapshoot because you never know. I mean, nobody's tired of Bourbon County Stout. That stuff's flying off the shelf every year.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. There's no way they're going to stop making that. KBS, again, another one. I don't think they're going to stop that either. But but I get what you're saying.
Those are some big beers. I guess those were bad examples. But if they brought out, let's say they stopped.
Let's say they brought the
Arrogant
Chain
Bastard
Breaker back. Okay, go for it. You said
so.
Arrogant?
Yeah, so Arrogant Bastard gone. If the day they bring it back. Boom! They're probably gonna. They could probably raise, and Stone being so their price point is so low, they could probably raise the price on it $1, maybe $2, and people would buy that up and it'd be gone. In a month or so from all your beer stores, and they'd be like, "We've actually made pretty good profit off this," versus maybe having it all year at a lower price point. I don't know. I'm not a marketing guy, but it seems like that would. For those beers that are maybe not selling as good, Arrogant Bastard is a good seller, so maybe it's a beer that sells kind of good in certain niche markets, but maybe not all across. And let's cut it out, bring it back in 2 years, and watch it explode for.
You raise a great point about that.
Yeah.
I think bringing those beers back would make everyone just go nuts again. If it's been gone for a year or two, I totally agree with you.
It's like the old girlfriend from high school, and you're like, man, I wish. Oh,
It's so crazy. I don't know.
Bring her back for 2 weeks, and then I don't want to see her ass again for 2 years.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good. How about you guys?
Good. We're having a good conversation, if you can't tell.
I can.
What's new, and how were you able to bring a Maibach, or did you just?
No, I didn't see until about 15 minutes before the show started.
We've all gotten Maibocks, so you're not even fitting in the crowd.
I can't believe you're the only one that didn't have a Maibach. Here, you would have been the only one. What do you have there?
Not only does not anybody have Maibocks, no one's got a lager, I don't think, right?
No.
I have this.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yes. It's the Oscar Blues Old Chub Nitro Scotch Ale. It's I had it. A friend brought it over about a month ago. Brought it over a 4-pack for our St. Patrick's Day party. He happened to just bring these, and it was pretty good. And I had forgotten. I still had one left in there. It's really good. It's Scotch ale is not my favorite style of beer, but this is really good. It's oddly sweet, and that doesn't bother me. It's I think it really is the change in mouthfeel from the nitro that just kind of changes it up on me. So I'm surprisingly a big fan of it now.
Nice.
Now that's interesting because I actually brought that to one of our club meetings because Scotch ales was the style of the month, and a lot of people have had Old Chub the regular, and people are like, "Oh, I like the non-nitro better."
Yeah.
And I think that mouthfeel does a lot for the flavor because there was this really big divide between people who are like, "Yeah, the nitro ruins it, the nitro makes it better." So that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, I always think of Scotch ale as just it's almost harsh flavor. It's a very very for drinking much more hoppy beers than others. It's such a departure that I notice it all the time.
The best Scotch ale.
Oh, that one? I can't remember if I've had that one. That looks familiar. Mike, did you have that when I was over at your place, like in the fall?
I must have, because I still have one in the closet. So.
Oh, okay.
I think I actually enjoy that more than KBS at times. So
I really love that beer. That's because that's barrel aged, right? It's like bourbon barrel aged, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what's the other bastard they make? It's I was getting screwed up with that arrogant. No. Dirty Bastard.
Dirty Bastard.
That's Dirty Bastard barrel aged.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So
I remember going to a Founders Fest once, and they had somebody was it the Dirty Bastard? Is that the one where he looks like an old miner? Is that what that
No,
guy
that's
looks
that
like?
one. Yeah, that's this. Well, I don't know what Dirty Bastard. That's Backwards Bastard. See, you can kind of see him on there. He's a little old.
So I can't remember if it was that guy or if it was the Dirty Bastard, whatever it was. It was straight up from the label. The guy, but he was on like stilts, so he was like super tall, and he had like the pan hanging from his belt, and he had a big he had one of those knapsacks with like the old hobos had, with a pole.
Nice.
It's like Cirque du Soleil for bourbon barrel aged beer.
It was pretty badass. I know I've got some pictures of that somewhere. I'll have to share it again. We were talking about pricing and marketing and stuff like that a little bit before Kevin got on, and I was listening to the one podcast that I've mentioned already before that I listen to all the time now. It's called Good Beer Hunting.
Yeah, that's a
the
good
best podcast about beer that I can suggest to anybody out there. It's based here in Chicago, but he goes all over. He's been all over the world, to be honest, and his interviews are just phenomenal. He's very articulate with his words, but he just speaking of articulate,
that was
like
beautiful.
The best timing ever. That was great timing.
Sorry.
But he had on his last episode he had two breweries from Chicago. They're little nanos called Slapshot and Microphone, and I think they've got a similar situation going on where they're sharing space. It's almost they're kind of like how Goose Island has spawned like all of these great brewers from them to open up their own places everywhere. I guess Pipeworks has been doing their own thing with all these little nanos popping up. So they've farmed out a lot of great brewers that way, and I guess these guys came from that. And I think they share some space, but they were talking about how they're looking at a completely different market that I've never even thought of, which is the commuters. If you live in Chicago or if any other major city has commuter rail trains that you can drink beer on, they were saying, I forget what the number was, but it blew my mind how many 24-ounce cans of Miller Lite or Bud Light that they sold. And you get to the train station, they wrap it up in a brown paper bag for you, and you go on the train, and people are always drinking on their way home. They're canning now finally, and they're going to be the first craft brewery that I've ever heard of, at least in the Midwest. They said that's doing 24-ounce cans of craft beer, and they're pricing them at like super low. I think they said like $4 or $5 for a 24-ounce can. So they're looking to shake things up with the bomber pricing. They said, because more than anywhere else, they've said that Chicago is so inundated with the amount of bombers. If you go to Binny's, it's crazy what you see on the shelves now, and so they're looking to shake up the pricing on that a little bit with that strategy. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know what you guys think of that, or what do you think that might do, if anything at all?
Well, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I have a comment to make on that. I personally I prefer cans as it comes to beer storage and stuff like that, because you don't have to worry about light getting into your beer and stuff like that. It's a much better seal at the end of the day. Personally, I'm in favor of more craft breweries doing more 24-ounce cans or even 32-ounce cans for that matter if they can do it. Just don't do like Miller and just fill those damn things to the brim, because you cannot pour from a 32-ounce can until you get a big swig from it first from the Miller Brewing Company. But that's just a minor gripe about another brewing company. But yeah, those are pretty good formats as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, brown paper bag. You can take it with you. Like I said, you can have it at a golf course, or you can have it at the beach and stuff like that, or where they say no, don't have glass and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good idea in my opinion. I wish more breweries can. But that's just something else there.
Well, I think that it's moving in that direction, but as far as like the shaking up the pricing goes, I think you're going to be seeing more and more of that, especially from the bigger players, the consolidation people. You're already seeing it, like Tighthead here in Mundelein got into the market with bombers. Their price point is around the $5.99, $6.99 a bottle mark, which is that's undercutting most of the competition, at least $2 or $3 a bottle. And there are a lot of beers where you can do that. I mean, especially with some of the whales we've been seeing. I mean, the price inflation has been phenomenal. And I think that the movement is going to be in the opposite direction because with so many different players in the market, you're going to find competition getting hot and heavy for people's attention. And you can only do that by, appealing to their novelty so much before you got to say, well, what's the next big thing we got to go to? Pricing's the next big thing. So
and that was that was actually one of their points too that they were making. They were like, these breweries are pricing their bombers much higher than they could be. Like it could be a lot less, and that's what they're going to kind of try to bring out, I guess. And with those bigger releases, there's a point where people will buy them, and then there's a point where people will say no because it's too high. So there's a lot of playing that they've been doing lately that, doing something different like that might make a difference. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun.
Classic. Yeah, that's strategically brilliant, I think. Go ahead, Chris.
Classic point right there is the Weyerbacher Sunday Morning Stout that just was released a few months ago. A lot of people are posting that and calling it kind of like, what is this compared to KBS? Because it seemed very similar. And almost every time somebody would post that and pose that question, somebody came back and said, it's too close to call. Sunday Morning Stout is way cheaper. I think that's the winner. I mean, because there wasn't a clear-cut taste difference. It was pretty dang close. I didn't have any KBS to do side-by-side comparison, but I don't know how much a KBS, but I want to say KBS is a 4-pack. I think Sunday Morning Stout is a 6-pack. So I could be wrong. I'd have to go look in my cellar because I've got some in my cellar. But I want to say it wasn't ungodly expensive for that. It's bourbon barrel aged, stout, kind of milky stout type thing, just like KBS is. So
yeah. No, I was going to say actually here KBS wasn't even a 4-pack. I mean, they probably come that way. Mm-hmm. But we get such little of it in the market that they end up splitting them up. You get a bottle or two. They set the limit at that, and that's a 12-ounce bottle, obviously.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of that shit going on, and you look at it and you go, I mean, what is driving the pricing in the market? Because there's no rational way to follow the line along on the ticker. It's just kind of being put there based not so much on what the market forces are as much as what they think they can get away with, and that lasts only so long. I mean, because at a certain point demand asserts itself, and I think we're probably in the next 2 years going to be seeing more and more of the market asserting its presence and defining what that line really is naturally.
And I'm wrong. The Weyerbacher is a 4-pack. I'm seeing pictures of it now on the internet that are 4-packs.
Yeah,
so
that is still cheaper though.
Well, and KBS used to be a 4-pack, like you were kind of alluding to, and it used to be, and now it's gotten so hyped up. Now, if my honest opinion, and this isn't anything that has to do with being Michigan, just Founders versus Weyerbacher. Weyerbacher makes some good dark beers, and I'm drinking their Mary Monk's Belgian Triple right now, which is solid. If you go anything outside that, lower, like some of their lighter beers, like IPAs and stuff, aren't all that great. I can't say that about any Founders beer, and I haven't had KBS in a couple years, but I would suspect if you took KBS the Sunday Morning Stout and taste them side by side, Founders would probably win. I wouldn't say that it'd be a landslide though, but they would definitely win. But just that price point, you're like, screw this. One, I can get Sunday Morning Stout a hell of a lot easier. That's why I like Backwoods Bastard, by the way, because it's not the same style, but I can walk into my beer store and see Backwoods Bastard on the shelf for several weeks when it's released until it finally is gone. Where KBS, you got to be like camped out in front of the beer store when it gets released, or get the tickets or whatever like that. And I'm just not a beer. I don't like chasing beer like that. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, Bourbon County's the same way. You know, I know at least I know it's everywhere on Dark Friday, Black Friday. I'll call my beer store, tell them to save a 6-pack. I call an out of the way beer store. The guy may have one like sitting around that no one knew about, and that's about it. You know, if I get a couple, cool. If not, you know, no big deal. I'm not driving to like Indianapolis or Chicago or Detroit just to get, you know, a beer. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that kind of guy.
You're better off going to the guy that you normally buy from anyways. I read a really good post online probably like 2 weeks ago from a retailer that was like, you know, I have to turn people away all the time because there's people that are, you know, driving in from who knows where, you know, and he goes, here's how it works. You know, I get these big sellers, you know, like Bourbon County Stout or KBS or whatever, based on how much of the flagship beers that I sell out of my store. So if I've got regular customers who come in and regularly buy, you know, these flagship beers all year round, and they come to me first and say, hey, can you put aside some KBS when you get it? I'm going to do that for those guys because they're supporting me all year round, where the one guy that, you know, comes from whatever town because he knows that I'm going to have that beer, I'm not going to hold that for them because they're either going to say I got it and then they're going to put it in their cellar, they're not going to say anything good, or they're definitely going to say some shitty stuff about your store if you turn them down.
Right.
He's like, you know what, it's better that I get these beers to sell based on, you know, my core customers that are, you know, very, you know, true to me in our business all year round, rather than the one guy who comes, you know, once a year. So
I'm gonna try. You know,
that's a better way to go, anyways.
Right now, I'm gonna try that this year. I'm gonna try to hit up my beer store like the day before Thanksgiving, and say, you know, hey, you know, I'm in there all the time. Some of the people know who I am, and I'm gonna say, can you just hold me a 4-pack or maybe even 2 4-packs of Bourbon County next year? So that's the only real one I like to stock up on because we don't. That's so like, it's ass sphincter tight in terms of when it comes out. I mean, you can't. At least, and now we don't get any variants over here usually. At least where I'm at, maybe in Detroit or something we do, or Grand Rapids. But
well, it's funny you mentioned how you can get the Backwoods Bastard so easily out there. It flies off the shelf here. I mean, it was around for a little bit longer, but I remember the last one I got, there was a guy right behind me going for the same beer, and he's like, oh man, he's like, that's what I was here for, you know. And it's a little bit more competitive here for that beer. So yeah, I mean. It's cool that you can get your hands on that so much.
Yeah, I think Michigan gets more of a distribution, and so you got to go to towns. Don't go to Grand Rapids to get it. Go to Kalamazoo. Well, maybe not in Kalamazoo, but like where I'm at, Battle Creek, it's more of a blue collar town. I was just sitting with a guy. I golfed with a guy in our work golf league the other last week, and we golfed all 9 holes. Got back. Me and my partner were talking about beer, and he's adding up the scorecard. He looks over and he goes, Do you know who Mr. Liquid Bread is? And I looked at him and I was like, seriously? I just golfed 9 holes with you, drank beers, we bullshitted and stuff, and it never dawned on you. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, it's me. Why? And he goes, well, I thought you looked familiar, and then you had a Notre Dame shirt on. I'd seen you with Notre Dame stuff. And this guy's like 50, and he says, I'm so-and-so, and he knows me on Untapped is where he knows me. I look him up. This dude's got 3,000 unique beers checked in, over 3,000. I'm like, God, you are a god. And he's just laid back. He's like, yeah, we're going here on Wednesday and going to this brewery and stuff. And I'm just like, that's amazing. But I don't remember. I'm sidetracked now because I don't remember why I brought that up. There was a reason, as a point that I brought that up. It's amazing that when I said something to him about my beer store in Battle Creek, because he's from Kalamazoo, I said, yeah, there's no craft beer people in Battle Creek, and he just looked at me and he goes, shh, like that, like, don't tell anybody about that beer store because no one goes there. I go there and I know I can get stuff because no one's cracking it open yet. So I'm like, and that's true. It's a blue collar town. There's a few beer geeks, but they're not like. You can still get stuff. Bourbon County, I called up at like noon on Black Friday and said, can you hold me a 4-pack? They said, sure. I drove in from out of town in the in-laws. When I showed up, some guys from Portage, which Dan knows where that's at, obviously, but south of Kalamazoo, walk in right ahead of me. They're like, yeah, I just was at your Portage location. I want some Bourbon County. Like, no, we don't have any. We sold out like an hour ago. He's pissed. Just raising hell, chewing their ass out. I walk around into the waitress, the bar, the beer girl behind the counter, and I go, yeah, can you get me my KB or my Bourbon County that you saved for me? Don't show that guy though. Put it in a paper bag. Like, I didn't want any trouble. She's like, okay. She's like, she's
gonna mug your ass.
she's like, here's your Mad Dog 2020, sir. So yeah, I totally understand where you guys are going with that. It's wacky.
Yeah. It's all about building good relationships with people you do business with, stuff like that.
The whole craft industry is based on that.
Hey, that's the only reason I have KBS this year is because the guy I know at Benny's Buffalo Grove sent me a text, and I was going to Boston that week that it was released, and he's like, I thank you for telling me it's coming out, but I can't come in. Can you set him aside? It's like, sure. I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Exactly.
Thank you. I have another.
I love you.
I love you.
It totally was though.
You guys, we got plenty of good things on the wheel. I don't know if we have to add anything here, so I'm just gonna go let it spin here if that's okay with you guys.
All right, let it ride.
All right, I'll hold it up here. I can actually see it. There we go. It's spinning, and we are landing on
Belgian.
Is that what it said? No.
No, it's malt liquor.
Malt liquor, Brandon. There you go, buddy.
There we go.
Oh no.
Oh. I even know what I'm bringing. It's gonna be Mickey's.
God.
Mickey's Big Mouth.
Wait. If you're bringing Mickey's, got to bring a different malt liquor. So, yeah, okay.
This has been a day we've been waiting for at least a year, I would think, right? This has been on the wheel for a very long
time coming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text AJ right now because I know he'll want to get in on this one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Tell Skylar to start brewing one up right now.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. We're definitely past the hour, so I'm going to bring this to a close. Appreciate you guys joining, and we will be back next week. Anyone who's listening or watching this after the fact, thanks for watching and listening. We're here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find these posted on podcastcondition.com on YouTube. We have a channel there under my name, Mike Copera. We've got Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Follow us on all those, and we're usually posting some things on there, beer-related or show-related. So, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us, guys. And we will be back next week with malt liquor. Don't forget your brown bags, guys. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.